friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophia and this is Sophia Sees Beauty, where we talk about all things beauty and makeup. Today, I am really excited to do this video. I'm gonna be reviewing the new Niji Pro brush that was recently released by Sonia G during this holiday season. I'm gonna be giving you guys all of the product details, gonna be doing a demo with this brush, show you how I applied all of my powder and cream products on today. I'm gonna be doing some comparisons with other brushes in my collection, and then sharing my final thoughts. Before we get started with the review, if you are new here, please consider subscribing to my channel. We talk about all things beauty and makeup here, so if that is something that you're interested in, please consider subscribing. And if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel and I would really appreciate that. So let's get into the review. All right, so let's talk about this brush, and I'm gonna be putting in some close-ups for you guys so that you can really see the gorgeous details of this brush. This brush is sold at Beautylish, where you can find all of Sonia G's other brushes. I have quite a few brushes in her collection, and I'm honestly just in love with the brand and the quality of all of her products. This brush retails for $85, and as I mentioned, I ordered this on Beautylish. I ordered it the day that it came very, very quickly, and this is called the Niji Pro. This is part of Sonia's Pro collection, and she mentioned in her blog that her Pro collection is really designed for brushes that are kind of multi-purpose. They can serve a lot of different purposes and they can really help get the job done fast, especially if you are maybe a makeup artist and you're trying to really pare down your kit to just the products that you need to be able to apply everything. And she also mentioned that Niji means rainbow in Japanese, which I think is so sweet. And obviously the name is inspired by this sort of like dome or curved design of both the brush and also of the ferrule right here. So it kind of makes sense that she would call it rainbow. And this brush is made of black and white Saikoho goat bristles. So it's going to be very soft, which it is. It's very soft. It has this beautiful sort of like black and white look to the bristles, but it's also going to be great for picking up both powders and creams. And you'll see in the demo, I use both powders and creams. And Sonia mentioned when she designed this brush, she wanted something that would sort of fill a gap in somebody's brush collection. She wanted something that was going to be both sort of airy and able to diffuse powders, but also precise enough that you could use it for contouring, you could maybe use it for highlighting, you could use it for buffing. So this brush is really designed to kind of serve all purposes. It's great for putting on bronzer, it's great for contouring. You'll even see in the demo that I use it for both blush and highlight as well. So she really designed this as something that probably none of us have in our collection. Maybe you do if you're a brush collector, but you're gonna see when I do the comparisons later on in this video, I don't really have a brush quite like this. And I love how multi-purpose this brush is. Some other things that Sonia mentioned about this brush is kind of just like the arched shape of this, and also the fact that there are longer bristles throughout the center and then shorter bristles on the outside. This is basically designed so that when you are applying things like bronzer, no matter what pressure you are applying to the brush to your face, you're going to sort of get an even motion of the bristles. It's not going to sort of flick from side to side, which especially if you're using kind of a darker color or maybe like a baked gelée formula, you want to be able to really pick up the product evenly, but then you want to be able to disperse it evenly as well. And the fact that this brush isn't so big and it is a little bit more precise means that it can fit into small pans. So if you have maybe like a Charlotte Tilbury palette that has a bunch of different products in it, or even one of those hourglass ambient lighting palettes, a lot of times I struggle to like fit my brush into those tiny pans. And so that's also another benefit of this brush. It really can fit into any pan size without kind of like dipping into the other products that are in that palette. Okay, so those are the basic details of this brush. Now we're gonna go get into the demo. Let's get into the demo, guys. Okay, so I've got my Niji Pro right here, and on Sonia G's blog, she did specifically mention that she likes using this brush with baked gelée formulas, and she mentioned the Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm palette that came out earlier this year, so I thought, why not give it a try with this palette? So I'm gonna be, well, she actually says she uses all of the shades in this palette with this brush. So that is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to see how does this do with the bronzer, the contour, the blush, and the highlight, which you should all be able to do with this brush because it's both like a big brush that's good for applying bronzer, but also precise enough that you can probably use it for blush. And if you're going to be using something that's all purpose like this, maybe just use like a microfiber towel so that you can kind of just wipe it off in between applications, or you can just use a regular towel, whatever works for you. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. Okay, so I got my towel. I just buy these from Amazon in like a huge pack. It's just a basic microfiber towel, and I'm gonna be going into this bronze shade first, and we're gonna see how this does. Okay, so I can definitely see it picking. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I see the bronzer being picked up on the brush. I'm gonna see. Oh, that's nice. I do think if you're very pale like me and you have a darker bronzer, and she kind of mentioned this in her blog post, if it is very dark, this still might be a little bit too of like a pinched, precise shape for you. But I think that this is picking up the product really nicely. It's not picking up too much product, and it's laying it down really nice. And guys, this brush feels so incredibly soft. Like, it feels like a luxury brush. You are getting exactly what you are paying for. And I love the way that the bronzer is going on. I'm not pressing too hard, but as you can see, when you press it onto your face, it's a pretty like even application between the longer bristles that are here and then the shorter bristles that are on the side. Hopefully you can kind of get what I'm talking about here. But I think that this is really nice. And what I also really like about these kinds of shapes is I like to bronze myself where the sun hits. And so I like to bronze my nose. And if you have kind of too big of a brush, you can't do what I'm doing right now. When I tan right across the bridge of my face like this. So just wanted to show that to you guys. A lot of brushes, because they are, I'll just show you an example here, maybe too big like this, you really can't get in there. Like, this is in the middle of my eyes right now. So that's also why I like this brush. We are bronze. Let's go into this contour shade right here. And typically I think you would, if you wanted to be more precise, maybe you would use one of her Sculpt brushes. But what I like about this is that I think it's going to give me a pretty soft contour, just given the size. So like, here's the size, here's the shape of my face. I think if you wanted something a little more chiseled, you might want to go in with a brush that is a bit denser and a little bit smaller, but I think that's working. We're gonna try this with a cream product as well next. I think especially with this particular shade as well, because it is pretty light and it's more like gray toned, I typically use this with a much denser, smaller brush. I usually use one of those little angled brushes from Rephr. So I definitely think you can use this brush for this purpose. I just think that this color is probably a little bit too light for me to be doing that. So we're gonna take a break from this Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm palette, and we're gonna use a cream product because I wanna see how this does with creams. Okay, so I have, excuse my hair guys, it's getting a little messed up as we do our makeup. So right here I have the Patrick Ta, what are these called? The Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo in the color She Sculpted. I have this in the lighter color as well, but I picked this up specifically because a lot of times the light colors, I feel like the contour is just not dark enough, kind of like in the Charlotte Tilbury palette. So we're gonna go in with this cream first. And so I'm just gonna boop, 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 see if it picks it up. This is goat hair, so in theory, you like should be able to use it with creams. Yeah, there we go. You can see how that's deepening up. Let me do it on this side so you guys can maybe see a little bit better. And that is going on very, very smooth. Of course, this is like a great product as well, but I think a big part of it is applying it with a brush. Yeah, you can see that really building up in a very, very natural way. And I can even see in the pan, hopefully that's not gross for you guys, I can even see in the pan, it's not like picking it up all in one spot like other brushes have done right here. It's really just grabbing the product and then applying it very seamlessly. Can you guys tell I like this brush? I really like this brush. And I'm gonna wipe it off on my towel, and then I'm just gonna go in with this on top just for, you know, scientific purposes. Yeah, I think that that looks stunning. This really is a do everything brush. Is it gonna work for every single product? No, but I think that, as Sonia mentioned in her post about this product, it does a lot of things if you want kind of a do everything workhorse brush. Okay, so let's apply some blush. I've got the blush right here from the Nude Gasm palette and the highlighter. So let's go into the blush. And this is a really good shape for the cheeks, at least for my cheeks. Like maybe if you have a smaller face, this might be too big for you. So I'm just applying that. Yeah, I think this works great for blush, great for bronzer, might work for some people for contour, not sure. Next, we're gonna go into the highlight, which is this color right here. I think that this brush, honestly, is a little too, I'm gonna do it here in the sun, is a little too big for highlight for my liking. But as you can see, you can do it, especially if you're someone that you don't want the highlight to be so pronounced. This is a good brush for just kind of buffing everything in and having a very smooth application, because not everybody likes, you know, see it from space highlights like me. So I realize we all have different tastes. Okay, so that was the demo. I think last but not least, I'm just gonna go in and kind of buff everything together. So I'm wiping my brush on my microfiber towel, and then I have the Chantecaille Flower Power Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. And this is also, I believe this is also a baked formula. I just wanna show that to you guys. This is like a limited edition packaging, but they've released this product before. And so I'm just gonna swirl this around, and I'm gonna kind of buff it onto my face everywhere. All right, guys, and here is the look. What do we think? Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Let's get to the rest of the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed that demo. I have a bunch of brushes here that we're gonna compare the Niji Pro to. And I try to just go throughout my collection and find not only Sonia G brushes, but brushes from other brands that maybe are somewhat similar to this brush in terms of the size and shape. So the first brush that I want to compare it to is the Rephr P22. And the reason I want to compare it to this is because this brush is kind of inspired by the Tom Ford bronzing brush. And Sonia actually compares the two brushes on her blog. So I just want to show you guys the Rephr P22 is a lot bigger and a lot just all around chunkier and fluffier than the Niji Pro. As you can see, the Niji Pro has this sort of arched ferrule, and it's just overall smaller and has kind of a longer shape to it. So if I kind of go in to apply things, the Niji Pro is going to be a lot more multi-purpose because it does have that precision. Whereas I actually really like to use this for more of like a quick all over bronzer application and also on my body as well because this brush is just so big. Next up, I have the Sonia G Sculpt 1. Listen guys, I know my brushes are a little dirty right now, but I use them, okay? So I didn't wash this beforehand, but I did wash the Niji Pro, okay? Always wash your brushes when you first get them. This is what it looks like when it's washed. But this is what these brushes look like side by side. The Sculpt 1, the bristles are a lot more even and it's a lot flatter. I think that, I honestly like, I find this one a little bit more challenging to use because the bristles are so long and floppy. I frequently use this for kind of sculpting right here if I want something that is a little more diffused but also chiseled. And I think that the nice thing about the Niji Pro is that it is just a little bit smaller and more manageable. You can kind of see the ends of the bristles here on the Sculpt 1 are getting a little bit scraggly for me digging them into my cheekbone. So those are the differences between the Sculpt 1 and the Niji Pro. Okay, next I have the Lotus base from Sonia G. So this is obviously a much smaller brush. So I just wanted to show this to you guys in case you're looking at these things online. Sometimes you can't tell that this is much smaller than this. I would say that this is much for more defined sculpting and chiseling. I would probably use this to really pack on some color into like the hollows of the cheeks and the hollows of the face. And then you could use the Niji Pro to kind of blend and buff that out. That's what I like this one for. So these are very different. You can see this is just a lot more dense than the Niji Pro. I don't know if this brush is available anymore, but this was the Wayne Goss holiday brush from maybe about 2 years ago. I want to say it was from maybe 2019. So this is pretty similar actually to the Sculpt one, except it's just a lot longer and floppier. I actually don't use this brush for sculpting at all. I use it more for blush application because it's just a little bit more airy and soft. So when you see it up against the Niji Pro, you can see, whoop, got some shedding there. You can see that it is just a lot flatter, and obviously the whole design of the brush is very different, but just wanted to show that to you guys in case, you know, I know a lot of you guys are avid brush collectors and you love Wayne Goss as well. So in case you have this, that's what that looks like. Next up, I have the Jumbo Base from Sonia G. This is part of her Fusion series, and this brush is more designed for cream products. And so I just want to show you guys, it's a lot smaller, but the reason I'm showing this brush is because I really love this brush for applying cream contour. I use this with my Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate all the time. And so this brush fits very well into my cheekbones, but obviously it's much more dense and it is designed more towards creams. I think the Niji Pro, as you saw in the demo, it can solve the same exact purpose. It's just a lot bigger and a lot airier. So if you like more of a powder contour, or maybe you switch in between both of them, maybe you would like the Niji Pro a little bit better. And again, like, as we've been saying throughout this review, the Niji Pro is just a little bit more multi-purpose. I really would never use this for powders. Like, it just doesn't have the airiness and the blendability to be able to blend out powders, really. So that's the difference between those two. And finally, I have one of my favorite powder brushes, which is the Koyudo Kakishibuzome powder brush, and I believe this is the #1 powder brush. And the reason why I want to show this is because this one also has a pinched ferrule specifically so that it is flatter. They do have another brush in the collection that is rounder, which I also have, and I like this specifically because it's flatter and it's a little bit easier to get in to smaller areas to use for blush and also to bronze the nose. And so I just wanted to show you guys the difference between these. I think that, you know, this is obviously a little bit more rounder. and it also has longer bristles. But this was kind of my go-to brush if I wanted something that was a little bit more multi-purpose before. And so that's kind of why I'm showing you the differences between these brushes. I also don't think I would ever use this for creams. I don't really think that this brush was designed for that, whereas I feel a little bit more comfortable using this kind of brush for creams because it's just a little more multi-purpose, and these types of goat bristles, as you saw, they picked it up without the brush getting too gunky. All right, guys, time for my final thoughts. My final thoughts are, I love this brush. I really think that this is worth the $85 investment if you are somebody that loves fude, if you just love, you know, seamless makeup application. I think this would be a really good addition to your collection. As you could see in the comparisons, I have a lot of brushes and I really don't have a brush like this in my collection. Sonia mentioned that she designed this to kind of be an in-between, and sometimes when you design an in-between, it's kind of like a no-between. It doesn't really work for anything, but here I really think that she created a really wonderful multi-purpose brush, and if you have a lot of brushes, I still think you're going to enjoy this. I think this is great for traveling. If you can only bring a couple of brushes with you, this is definitely going to be one that I bring with me just because I can do so much, and I don't want to have to bring like 50 million brushes with me when I go home for Christmas or when I go on vacation. So I really think the quality lives up to the price. The bristles are extremely soft. You have this pro handle, which these lacquered handles from Sonia G are so luxurious. I love that the Pro line has this tapered handle, so it's a little bit easier to fit into a brush holder or fit into like a brush book if you are traveling. So all in all, I am super, super pleased with this brush. Really great quality. As you saw in the demo, I was able to apply a whole face of powder and cream products with this brush. I don't think I would use this for like foundation or anything super liquidy. I just want to put that out there, but I do think you could use it for cream contour, and I do think you could use it for cream blush. I don't know if that is recommended by Sonia. I didn't say that in her blog post, but personally, I think if you have kind of like a lightweight cream formula, you can definitely use this for that. So yeah, all around, I completely recommend this brush. Just wanted to show you guys kind of how you might be able to use it, how you might not be able to use it, and just some comparisons of other popular brushes that I have in my collection and you might have in yours. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like these kind of videos, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps to support my channel and it lets me know what kind of content you guys like. If you are interested in more videos from me, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next one. Goodbye.